Oh, here we go again. Here we go again. Another unarmed U.S. civilian citizen shot and unalive by ICE. We just literally have another Renee good on our hand. Check it out.
News additions here to add. The first is that Sheriff Dewana Witt, she's the sheriff of Hennepin County, is calling for the National Guard to come in right now.
Does she have the ability to do that?
No, but she can ask.
She's asking the governor to call up the National Guard.
And we know they've been on standby for a while now, and we're expected to hear from the governor shortly.
By the way, it was supposed to be 1:30, so any moment we could be hearing from the governor.
In the meantime, we do have permission to use this second angle, and I want to brace viewers at home about this video you're about to watch. We're going to loop it, so we'll play it a couple times. This is Drop Site News that gave us permission to air this video. We're going to play it a couple times. I want to take you through it slowly. The man who was shot and killed is the man on the right side of the screen there. You can't see him right now. Now you can. That man right there is directing traffic in the middle of the street. He is holding up a phone, so he is recording. And what this video shows, this is the woman in pink in the other video, by the way, is he's trying to protect a woman who just got shoved and now sprayed with pepper spray. You can see it for yourself. Law enforcement is grabbing the man and putting him on the ground. He had a phone in his hand. Now you can see multiple agents surrounding him. One will begin to pistol whip him in the head. Right there, that officer right there. Actually, I don't know if that's a pistol. I can't say that for sure, but he's hitting him in the head with something. We paused the video right as the shots are going off. There is something unclear. We talked about this man with the, it looks like an agent with a khaki colored coat and jeans who comes around the other side of the man and appears to grab a gun. It's still unclear if he grabs the man on the ground's gun or if he grabs another gun from an officer that may have dropped. We cannot say for sure what he grabbed. But if you want to talk about the narrative that we just heard Border Patrol say, which is that this person in the khaki-colored outfit that just lost his life came there intent on harming as many agents as possible. I believe that's a quote. That is not what this video shows. Plain, simple, naked truth.
And Chris, you've watched this video many times. I'm seeing it really for just the second time on screen here. A key question here, the man had a gun. Did he ever brandish it? Did he ever appear to threaten or pull it on agents? Can you see that in the video?
I can't see on the ground. It appears he does reach for his hip while he's sort of being sprayed, but I don't know what. Maybe he's grabbing a phone, maybe he's going for the gun. I can't say. I can't give you too much context. All I can say is what I see and what you see in front of your eyes right now. That man is directing traffic. He goes over to help a woman that gets shoved. I don't know if the officer's saying, hey, you need to leave here right now. You shouldn't be. I don't know what is happening on the ground there. We cannot say. But there's the officer giving the shove. He does not like that. He says, stop. This is when they claim he violently is resisting. It looks to me like he is protecting a woman on the ground. He is then grabbed and put on the ground. You can see it for yourself. Someone is hitting him in the head.
What happened to the woman, Chris? Do we know what's happening to her? Is she being detained as well?
She is being sort of
pulled out
tackled and pulled out by what appears to be another protester in a gas mask.
Okay.
But after the first shot, then you hear about, I can't tell you, 6 to 8 shots more. As agents are backing away, they're shooting him as they're backing away.
We are waiting right now, Chris, by the way, for a Governor Walz news conference. We will go to that just as soon as it starts so that we don't miss anything. And I know you were searching for other angles of video, and we know more will be coming in because there are plenty of people out there holding phones. We don't know if we're going to get any security camera video from any of the businesses that were in the area, but there's going to be plenty of angles to see this.
The young man who died, his phone will be probably the most significant in all that he's holding up right now. But what you're looking at right now, this video obtained by Drop Site News, the woman in the pink who was in the other video across the street, this is the best, closest video you're going to get to what's happening here.
It's really an incredible angle.
At no point do I see the man grabbing his gun. I just don't. I could be wrong, but I just don't see it. And, you know, this is why It's so important to have full, independent, thorough investigations to ascertain truth.
Well, and
so we
that
don't
is
jump
why
to conclusions.
investigations are important, because they will have the technology to zoom in, to increase the quality of the video,
Millisecond
to slow it
by
down,
millisecond.
and really get a sense of what was happening and what those agents would have seen or experienced in that moment, and what that person on the ground would have been doing in that moment. So, it's unclear for the public what sort of access we'll have to any of this investigation if it's being done not locally, but with the FBI. In a state investigation, they would investigate thoroughly. It may sometimes take months, but eventually they put out a full report on their investigation, and it is unclear.
Now we know the identity of the man.
We have now confirmed that the man who was shot was ICU nurse Alex Pretti, and that is confirmed by his parents. And to his parents, I am so sorry for your loss. Regardless of the circumstances, to lose a child is the most horrific thing. But we can now confirm that the victim who was shot in this situation was Alex Pretti, an ICU nurse from Minneapolis, an American citizen, according to Chief Brian O'Hara.
I also want to say one more thing, because it is our duty to tell the truth, however we see it, right? And journalists get painted in many different lights these days. And I'll say this. What Commander Bavino said in his press conference and in the press release was that it appeared, according to DHS, that this man, what was his name?
Alex Pretti.
Pretti. Came there intending to harm officers. We have a picture of him. And the video shows him directing traffic. The next part of the video shows him trying to help a woman who got shoved by an officer, and then resisting his own, I guess, detainment, if you will, and being sprayed in the face with pepper spray. The video does not appear to back up that statement.
You have not seen in the angles
None of us
that
have.
you have watched that he seemed to be threatening law enforcement.
And he may have been, I don't know. I have no clue.
Sure, we
can't
don't
prove any of that. But what I'm saying, the video shows a man directing traffic, helping a woman, and then sort of resisting his own detainment. That's what it shows.
And now we are seeing this man right here, Alex Pretti. We are told by his parents that he was an ICU nurse. We don't know where he was an ICU nurse, but he is a Minneapolis resident. All right. If you're just joining us now, and if you're following along, we wanted to let you know that there was a shooting in the city of Minneapolis today. ICE Border Patrol shot Alex Pretti, as you see there, a 37-year-old man, American citizen, resident of Minneapolis, and DHS saying that he was brandishing a gun, that he had a weapon, that they felt that he was going to cause mass harm to as many law enforcement as possible.
Based on the limited amount of information that we have thus far this morning, and then I would provide some comments myself.
They don't have you. They don't have you. They called the wrong thing up. It's on their end.
At approximately 9:03 a.m. this morning, Minneapolis police received a report of a shooting involving federal law enforcement in the area of East 26th Street and Nicollet Avenue on the south side of the city. Officers arrived and found an adult male with multiple gunshot wounds when they arrived. Life-saving aid was being rendered, and he was transported by ambulance to Hennepin County Medical Center, where he was later pronounced deceased. Based on the information that we have, which is very limited, this is a 37-year-old white male who is a Minneapolis resident, and we believe he is an American citizen. We have not been told any official reports of what has led up to the shooting, but we have seen the video that is circulating on social media. Our demand today is for those federal agencies that are operating in our city to do so with the same discipline, humanity, and integrity that effective law enforcement in this country demands. We urge everyone to remain peaceful. We recognize that there is a lot of anger and a lot of questions around what has happened, but we need people to remain peaceful. In the area, we have an unlawful assembly at this time. Minneapolis police have given multiple warnings for the crowd to disperse. We are asking for people to avoid the area and to leave if you are there. We have requested mutual aid from the Minnesota State Patrol and from all our local and county regional partners. We ask everyone to remain calm and to please do not destroy our own city.
I just saw a video of more than 6 masked agents pummeling one of our constituents and shooting him to death. How many more residents, how many more Americans need to die or get badly hurt for this operation to end? How many more lives need to be lost before this administration realizes that a political and partisan narrative is not as important as American values? How many times must local and national leaders must plead with you, Donald Trump, to end this operation and recognize that this is not creating safety in our city? As you'll hear from Director Sayer in just a second, we have seen these kinds of operations in other places, in other countries, but not here in America. Not in a way where a great American city is being invaded by its own federal government. I'm done being told that our community members are responsible for the vitriol in our streets. I'm done being told that our local elected officials are solely responsible for turning down the temperature. Just yesterday, we saw 15,000 people peacefully protesting in the streets, speaking out, standing up for their neighbors. Not a single broken window, not a single injury. Those peaceful protests embody the very principles that both Minneapolis and America was founded upon. Conversely, the mass militarized force and unidentified agents who are occupying our streets, that is what weakens our country. That is what erodes trust in both law enforcement and in democracy itself. So to everyone listening, stand with Minneapolis. Stand up for America. Recognize that your children will ask you what side you were on. Your grandchildren will ask you what you did to act to prevent this from happening again. To make sure that the foundational elements of our democracy were rock solid. What did you do to protect your city? What did you do to protect your nation? This is not what America is about. This is not a partisan issue. This is an American issue. This administration and everyone involved in this operation should be reflecting. They should be reflecting right now and asking themselves, what exactly are you accomplishing? If the goal was to achieve peace and safety, this is doing exactly the opposite. If the goal was to achieve calm and prosperity, this is doing exactly the opposite. Are you standing up for American families right now? Or are we tearing them apart? The invasion of these heavily armed masked agents roaming around on our streets of Minneapolis, emboldened with a sense of impunity, it has to end.
But you stupid getting with stupid products should just comply.
This is not how it has
obey.
to be.
Yeah, comply or die.
So,
and they're going to be like, oh,
President
you just go
Trump,
home, stand down.
This is a moment to act like a leader. Put Minneapolis, put America first in this moment. Let's achieve peace. Let's end this operation, and I'm telling you, our city will come back. Safety will be restored. We're asking for you to take action now to remove these federal agents. Director Sayer.
My name is Rachel Sayer, and I am the Director of the Emergency Management Department for the City of Minneapolis. I took this job to keep us safe because I live here, and this is my community. We are doing everything we can to mitigate the impacts of this terrible situation. The city's Emergency Operations Center continues to be activated, as it has throughout the surge in federal agents over the last few weeks. We are tracking impacts and coordinating the city's response to this situation, which is having profound repercussions in our community. I can't underscore enough how much Operation Metro Surge is impacting our city. Families with loved ones detained and those who are afraid to be in public lest they become targets need help accessing the most basic necessities like food, housing, and rides to school. Businesses are shuttering and our local economy is severely impacted, which means families are suffering, just as we were rounding a corner in our recovery. Many of our Minneapolis residents, my neighbors, my friends, my community members, are ceasing participation in public life, afraid to even go to the doctor. In response, the city enterprise continues to utilize our entire emergency apparatus. That means staff across departments, often around the clock, are putting their regular jobs on hold in order to respond to the impacts of Metro Surge. I want everyone to know there are numerous resources available to community members right now. We have mental health help available. We have food assistance, housing and rental assistance, legal help. We are sharing information about what to do if you are exposed to tear gas, pepper spray, or other chemical agents. And the state AGs and ACLU are collecting reports of rights violations. You can access these resources on the city's virtual resource center at minneapolismn.gov/ICE. Please share this information with your neighbors. We have help and we want you to be able to access that. My background is in international humanitarian response in conflict zones in Yemen, Haiti, Syria, Iraq, and Ukraine. What I've seen here is what I've seen there. A powerful entity violently and intentionally terrorizing people, making them afraid to go outside so they can't earn a living, so that kids are forced out of school. This has a lasting generational impact. People can't plan a single day of their lives because they don't know who is around the corner and if their family member or neighbor is about to be taken away. In these times, you see both the best and the worst. The worst is the terror and the feeling of helplessness. The best will continue to be our community's response. The way we are showing up for each other, that is in the absolute worst of times. We're showing up for each other in the absolute worst of times. I'll turn it back to the mayor. Thank you.
We'll open it to questions.
Situation unfolding right now around that scene. Is there any communication right now between local and federal law enforcement or cooperation, or where do those efforts stand to try to calm what's going on down there right now?
Yeah, I'll turn it to the chief to answer.
So the question was, there is an incredibly volatile scene in South Minneapolis right now, and the extent of communication with law enforcement agencies. We have established a command post that is led by Minneapolis Police, and there are representatives from all of the regional, local, county, and state organizations. We have had communication with Homeland Security, but they have not been able to provide us any specific details around the incident itself. We are responsible for ensuring the safety of people on the streets of our city, and we are doing everything that we can to maintain the peace right now, led by Minneapolis Police, but with the help of the Minnesota State Patrol, Hennepin and Ramsey County Sheriffs. Several suburban towns are in the city helping us with 911 calls. We have done an emergency recall of all sworn personnel back to duty. And we are working with the fire department right now to ensure that 2 small fires that were started in the area are safely extinguished. But again, we need everyone to avoid the area if possible, and the people who are in the area, we understand your frustrations. This is not sustainable. But we need people to leave the area at this time.
Is the National Guard involved?
We have communicated with the National Guard. They have been on standby for several days, and we have ensured the National Guard, as well as all of the local law enforcement partners, are aware of the situation.
Chief and Mayor, if I can ask you, this is a statement from Tricia McLaughlin, spokesperson from DHS. She said in her statement, an individual approached U.S. Border Patrol officers with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun, seen here, they showed a picture of it. The officers attempted to disarm the suspect, but the armed suspect violently resisted. More details on the armed struggle are forthcoming. Fearing for his life and the lives and safety of fellow officers, an agent fired defensive shots. Medics on the scene immediately delivered medical aid. Is that what happened?
So Minneapolis police, the question was, you read a statement from DHS saying that a weapon was presented and there was attempts to disarm the person. Again, like I stated earlier, Minneapolis police, as well as our supervisors, our watch commander, responded to the scene. We were not provided any public safety statement around the incident, what happened. We have since seen a video that is circulating online, like thousands of other people have at this time. So we do not know what happened prior to the recording that is online right now. I immediately called for the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension to respond, to conduct an investigation. They are on the scene. I believe the FBI is on the scene as well. But I think the video speaks for itself. What I can tell you is we have identified this person, 37-year-old white male, resident of the city. The only interaction that we are aware of with law enforcement has been for traffic tickets, and we believe he is a lawful gun owner with a permit to carry.
Chief, can you clarify, was MPD cut out of this investigation? Has the BCA been cut out, like we've seen from the two previous shootings?
The question was, has MPD been cut out of the investigation, and has the BCA been cut out? As I stated, I immediately requested the BCA to respond. It's my understanding that they are on the scene. I have not heard anything otherwise. There was initially some information was relayed to me over the radio that our officers were told that they were either not needed or could leave, and I gave a direct order to ensure that Minneapolis police maintain the scene as well as other state and local law enforcement.
Can you talk about the discrepancy?
Do you know whether it was multiple officers involved in the shooting or one officer? Do you know their whereabouts or any custody at all, or still on the scene?
So the question was is there multiple officers involved in the shooting? That is the preliminary information. That is our understanding, that it was more than one law enforcement officer involved in the discharge. And again, there is public video that shows several law enforcement officers in a scuffle with someone.
Can you talk about the discrepancy? Initial reports said that the victim here was 51 years old. The information that you have, where is that from?
So the question was, the initial reports said the victim was 51. The information that I have is we sent Minneapolis police officers to the hospital with the individual who was shot, and they have since identified that person.
Two more questions.
Do you have the name of the individual who was shot?
I do, and I'm not releasing it.
Are you able to talk, have you been able to talk with top ICE and Border Patrol officials to ask them to please be in on this, or have you talked to them, or have you been rejected?
The question was, have we talked with federal law enforcement to be in on this? We have had conversations with Homeland Security Investigations this morning. We are told they do not have any information to share at this time, but we will attempt to maintain those communications going forward.
Do you believe that? Do you believe that? Do you believe that they have no information to share at this time?
The question was, do I believe that they have no information to share at this time? I don't know if the individual that we were in contact with would or not. This is a Saturday morning, and just like it was for us, it was a scramble to do an emergency recall and to get people to the scene.
All right, thank you guys. We'll have more information if we get any later throughout the day.
about the video. We have been also requesting Republican response, and we do have a statement from Tom Emmer, which we will get to you shortly. But let's talk about this video that you've been watching. You've been going over it.
Yes.
What can you tell us?
Well, we're gonna see it together. Okay, so this is the video that has been going around social media. It appears to be the correct location at the correct time posted today. We verified that much. We want to show you, and there's other videos that show the same person at the same time. So that's why we feel like this is authenticated and we're able to air it right now. We're going to pause it right before the shot of this man going limp, but we're going to watch it several times here and show you exactly what we're seeing on this video. This video starts with federal agents trying to detain a man who's in like a khaki-colored sort of jacket and pants. The man can be seen when we re-rack this, you'll see it. The man can be seen on his knees on the ground with two agents on top of him trying to detain him. It's unclear if these agents know this man is armed. It's unclear if the man threatened them in any way. We don't know any of that. What I can tell you is that these agents are aggressively on top of this man, and a third, what appears to be an agent, with a tan-colored coat and jeans, and we're going to keep watching this, walks over to the scene. Watch this guy with the coat on here. He has nothing, it doesn't appear he has anything in his hand until he reaches down and tries to help detain this guy. There are clear, more zoomed in videos where I can tell you that right here, that person walks away with a gun in his right hand, which would be on the left side of the screen. That person in that tan jacket spins away with a gun in his right hand with closer imaging that you can see. Is it the man on the ground's gun? Unclear. We don't know whose it is. But it is at that point when it freezes is when we hear the gunshot. Okay? And we don't know where, right here. We know there's a gun in the hand of that man right there. Again, is it the person on the ground's gun? Unclear. Is it an agent's gun? Unclear. But this moment right here is when a shot is fired. The person shooting the video then swears and says, "Oh my, they just shot him." And then you hear a series of more gunshots. There's about, call it 3 seconds in between the first shot and what appears to be a rally of other shots. I can't read anything else into this right now without other angles, without law enforcement experts, use of force experts to weigh in, because we can't make judgment. But that is precisely what this shows. People online are wondering if the man was disarmed before he was shot to death. I can't answer that question. This video doesn't answer that question. But that is the big question that people are asking online, and that has gotten people so upset.
And one thing I'm wondering as I look at that as well is this is an area with so many businesses. I'm wondering if any of their security cameras caught this from other angles that authorities will eventually be able to determine.
Absolutely, they all have.
There's also what appears to be a woman in the red jacket. You see that right there,
Right.
about 6 feet from this happening?
She looks like she's got really close shooting video. Yeah.
Incredibly important video. There's another video that's going around of the man who's on the ground who was shot. Call it a minute or so before this went down. And that video shows somebody driving past the area, and the guy who's on the ground is actually just like a precursor to this, standing up, talking, dialoguing with an agent. And it doesn't look that tense, and there's
Have we
no
confirmed
pushing.
that yet? Can we show that yet?
No, we have not gotten that confirmed yet, but it's going around. It appears to be the same person. So what's difficult, obviously, with social media, our job is to verify facts, and it's super hard when things suddenly go viral and we don't know who shot it, and we can't authenticate exactly everything that you see on social media, which is why we have to be careful.
Well, let's remind people what DHS is saying, what they've released about the situation. DHS says at 9:05 a.m. Central Time, DHS law enforcement officers were conducting a targeted operation in Minneapolis against an illegal alien wanted for violent assault. An individual approached U.S. Border Patrol officers with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun. They show the picture of it. The officers attempted to disarm the suspect, but the armed suspect violently resisted, More details on the armed struggle are forthcoming. Fearing for his life and the lives and safety of fellow officers, an agent fired defensive shots. Medics on the scene immediately delivered medical aid to the subject, but was pronounced dead at the scene. The suspect also had 2 magazines and no ID. This looks like a situation where an individual wanted to do maximum damage and massacre law enforcement. About 200 rioters arrived at the scene and began to obstruct and assault law enforcement on the scene. Crowd control measures were deployed for the safety of the public and law enforcement. The situation is evolving. More information forthcoming. We want to point out that Chief Brian O'Hara says that this man is a citizen of the city, 37-year-old white male who is a lawful gun owner and did have a permit to carry. So that much we do know.
And in addition, Chief O'Hara said when asked about the DHS statement, people were asking, can you confirm what DHS said? And Chief O'Hara at this point says they don't have that information. They have not been given that information.
It's also very important to point out what that press release does not say. It says that, and you correct me if I'm wrong if you want to pull it back up, it says that a man approached with a 9mm handgun. It doesn't say he had it in his hand. It doesn't say he was pointing it at officers. It just says that a man had a gun, which he has a right to do. It doesn't say that he actually threatened them with it. But it does say at the end, their hyperbole is that he was intending on harming as many officers.
Yeah, this is exactly what these ICE and DHS are trying to. They're just trying to spin the narrative all like exactly the same way they spin on Renee Good, saying that Renee Good was stalking, harassing, doxing these agent officers for days. Which is actually crock of crap. She dropped her son from school, and that was confirmed.
Several of our reporters that have been in the middle of it, including our own Jana Shortle, who was out there this morning right after it happened. You ran over there very quickly. She's joining us now in studio, actually. And it was quite the scene. You were pepper sprayed. It was volatile at the time. Explain to us what happened.
Yeah, Rena, that was just the beginning. I just came from there. And so if my face is red, that's certainly why. Once that chemical gets on your face and your clothes, it's hard to get it off. But yes, there was just kind of what people would expect, that normal back and forth exchange with just, I would say, 75 to 100 protesters at the time. And I don't even know if I would say protest, just people that were in the community that kind of ran out to the scene. And you could kind of tell and feel this tension. And an example I want to share is that it isn't all one thing. Like, not every protester there was escalating the tensions. And the same can be said for the federal agents that I interacted with. And I can speak from my own experience of being sprayed with a chemical irritant. I was behind the press line, and all of a sudden, a couple of Border Patrol agents decided to move the press line, but nobody really knew why or the crime tape. And so they started to just aggressively say, move back, but nobody knew what was happening. And this is all happening on 4 different sides of the street at the same time. And so we start to move back, but we're like, what are we moving back from? And I'm moving back, walking backwards on the pavement in my boots, and apparently was not fast enough. And so an agent, probably twice my size, pushed me pretty hard. And I said, don't push me on press. I was wearing my press credential, and he did it again. And I said, do not push me on press. I raised my voice, and I'm like, look what's happening. I'm backing up. I'm doing what you say. And at that time, the irritant went almost directly into my left eye. I didn't see where it came from. But it is this chaotic place of like, wait, all the rules are changing. Like, why are we moving backwards? Where are we going? What's happening? I don't know what's going on. There is no control on this scene to know exactly what was happening. I don't even think the protesters knew why they were there, because there was just such a large occupation, and I didn't see any police at that point. Throughout the morning, State Patrol started to show up and create a more established perimeter, but that's when all of these chemical irritants, flashbangs, pepper balls were being like shot in the air. You probably saw one time we were on the air and it kind of hit us at the same time. Normally in situations, you and I, all of us have been doing this probably collectively for 100 years, for as long as we've been in journalism. Normally there's, loudspeakers like, please disperse, we're going to, and that wasn't happening this time. It seemed like everything was just happening like on a reactionary basis, and that is what concerns me. And what I would say to Police Chief Brian O'Hara's statement of please go home, I think somebody should be down there telling people that. The people that need to be told to please go home and please calm down are on that scene.
Right.
And someone, I don't know who it is, but somebody that has some calm in their voice, whether it be a leader in a protest movement, someone has to take control of the situation because it is dangerous.
To your point, there were no Minneapolis police officers there that you could see.
That I could see. And I'm not saying that as a criticism.
No, they can't help with ICE operations. So their role would be, protection of the crowd or whatever. But we don't know that there were a ton of officers there.
And we heard Brian O'Hara speaking to that, and that there's not a great deal of coordination that's happening, really none, between MPD and federal agents. And MPD is walking this tightrope where they are not allowed to assist in federal operations, and yet they do have a role of crowd control. But you did mention that you saw one MPD officer down there this morning?
Right before, actually, that's a good point, Laura. Right before the incident that happened with us and the moving back and the spraying and all that, there was one Minneapolis Police Department officer as close from me to you. He was on my right side, and he walked up and he said, to a Border Patrol agent behind the tape, do you have a supervisor here? Can I get in and talk to your supervisor? And there was just confusion, like, sure, I guess. I don't know who it is, but you can go ahead and go in, I guess. Like, I just can't imagine for that police officer, even those agents. There was a shooting, clearly, where a man died. There are hundreds of people now coming on each city block from each area. This is a dense, dense, dense part of the city. And nobody knows who the supervisor is or who's in charge. Sure, you could come in. I mean, it's just terrifying. And I want to just speak to that neighborhood. When I moved to Minneapolis, that's exactly where I lived. I lived at 25th and Nicollet above the coffee shop. And it is extremely dense. It's extremely young. It's extremely transient. So it's not like when people are watching this and maybe don't live in the city, like this residential area where there's garages and houses and fences. Like you just have a lot of people in a very small amount of space. That is each street. It's historic. We love it. Small businesses. All it is small businesses. They cannot sustain this.
And we saw, as Sammy was reporting out there, one of those small business owners opened up her doors to welcome people. And she said, I just want to keep people safe. And she said it was breaking her heart to see what was happening out there this morning. And especially from Ian's shot, who was a bit off of Nicollet, he was at 27th and 1st. And you could see all the apartments and the 2- and 3-story buildings there.
It's a little different.
And I was thinking about all the people inside their homes this morning who woke up and outside of their house, they are hearing flashbangs. They are having, if they were to open the windows, they wouldn't on a day like this because it's absolutely frigid, but there would be chemical irritants all throughout the air outside their home.
I heard a lot of people express that. When I had the irritants sprayed in and they started pouring water on me, and y'all know how cold it is. At this time, it was probably like -8. A young person said, do you want my apartment? And then 2 women who were helping me said, yes, she needs to get inside. And then they just opened their apartment and they gave me towels, they gave me water, and they are like, I have to go out and help my neighbors. And I stayed in there and I called my wife. And this woman, I wish I knew her name, she just helped me for like 30 minutes and she just kept explaining what would happen and how this would feel. And then we started to go out, and I saw her right before I left when the spray stuff that made it hard to breathe started to come, and I saw her in distress, and I just it all psychologically is a lot to take in. I'm watching people help people, so I just want to paint a picture. I know it's bad. I know some people down there are doing things that are making law enforcement's job hard, but there are a lot of people down there that are literally putting their bodies on the line to help strangers.
And that always happens in these situations, right? In the worst of times, the angels come out, the helpers come out. So they're in even the most terrible of situations, there are rays of light, there are rays of hope. And so I do hope that people, if you're watching in another city and you think our city's burning down, there are rays of hope. There are good things that are happening.
And for the last almost 2 months now, month and a half, that we have had this surge and all of this tension in our state and clashes between local protesters and federal law enforcement and local officials and federal officials, we have seen so much kindness also. And I do think that that's important to point out. We have seen people out there delivering food, people helping to calm situations, just people trying to take care of one another. Because, as you mentioned, this is a neighborhood, this is a city. People live here who have no involvement in anything else, and they're just trying to get by, just trying to survive, and people are really taking care of one another.
Yeah, I don't think that you could. There are two streets that I think of living in Minneapolis and South Side that just kind of really define the all are welcome here, and it's Lake Street and Nicollet, and these are the two streets, and I that doesn't surprise me that woman up that somebody let me in their house, and in the whole hallway they were making coffee and helping people come in and get warm, and I know we can't spend a lot of time on stuff like this. The news has to be told, but there's other things happening there too. But I wish Brian O'Hara could go down there, because I think he's got a lot of credibility right now for how he's led our city, and just ask people to go home or go somewhere to get their frustrations out. Because I know that does need to happen. There's half the people down there don't even know what happened. They're just there. A lot of them are young, and that's awesome, and they believe in something, but it's not helping.
Yeah, right. And we all, at this point, we don't really know what happened. Investigation is ongoing. We have competing narratives coming out, and we're going to be trying to get you the best information that we can. But Janet, we thank you for coming out here and for going out early this morning to report. I'm glad you're okay. I know that you're in pain. I've experienced pepper spray. It hurts. And so take care of yourself. Thank you for being out there this
That Alex, we know the victim's name now is Alex Pretti. He's 37 years old. He's an ICU nurse. He says he approached them with a handgun, but we'll go back and we'll try to figure out. In the video we have, we don't see that.
We don't see that.
We don't see him, and that he wanted to do maximum damage. We never see him like approaching the several agents, at least 5
because
of them.
that's what that description puts in your head.
Right, in your head, we hear someone approached, and
with a 9mm semi-automatic weapon.
And you think an educated ICU nurse,
and this
unless he was really intent, and we don't know his intent on hurting, shooting, killing these people, who in their right mind is going to pull out a gun in front of heavily armed federal agents conducting their operation? We see a struggle, we see a scuffle, we see Pretti trying to help a woman as ICE agents pull him off. So this idea of approach with a handgun, we don't, not that it didn't happen, we don't know, but based on what we know right now, it's hard to understand, because that does put an idea in your mind when you say someone approached me with a handgun. And that's not what we see. And we did try to ask about that, by the way, directly. Our reporter Connor said, hey, we didn't, and Bavino did not.
Let's go back. We just actually got Alex's picture for the first time, and this is central to this whole morning. I mean, I think one thing everyone can agree on is that it is very sad that a life has been lost. We do have some information on Alex. We know that he is 37 years old. The Associated Press talked with his parents and said he is an ICU nurse, obviously someone who is a healer, a helper. That's how he is described. We also were told by the police chief that they quickly looked into his record, and they said what we found was a few traffic citations. That's what they said as far as that. And they said he had a lawful permit to carry a weapon. It's something Governor Watts brought up in his press conference too, right?
All he had was a
so
traffic
we
citation.
know
Traffic
that there are
citation.
people
He had
mourning.
a-
We know
he
there's
had a
some of you
permit to
watching
carry.
who know Alex right now, and we will continue to try and figure out more about his life, as we have so many questions in this moment.
We want to go to our Caroline Cummings, who is at the State Operations Center. And Caroline, we were discussing earlier about the scene and what we've learned about what happened. And you asked that question in the press conference. Just give some of your additional thoughts.
Right. So, we just heard from the governor and his public safety commissioner, Bob Jacobson, and it comes as the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension sent a post on social media just minutes before that press conference where they said, quote, "Our agents and crime scene personnel attempted to access the location, but were blocked by DHS personnel at the scene." Now, you heard me, as you mentioned, ask Bob Jacobson about that. To what extent is the state involved in any investigation, right? Why does that matter? Because there was a lot of contention between the state and the feds over the Renee Good shooting investigation. The BCA said that they were blocked from accessing evidence in that case. Multiple public officials, including the governor, asked the federal government to reassess that position, to let them have access to that evidence in the Renee Good shooting. So I asked that question of Commissioner Jacobson, and he said the BCA was on the ground, but he was kind of hinting at a confrontation where he said, federal law enforcement left. They were then BCA and other local state agents were on the scene, and it was kind of a chaotic scene. They had to make it more secure. So again, we know that the BCA says that the agents at the crime scene were attempting to access that location, and then they were blocked by DHS. That's according to the BCA's post. And also, we heard from the governor where he said he spoke to the White House this morning. Now, it's unclear if he spoke to the president directly or if he spoke to his staff, but he said in, quote, no uncertain terms that he believes that the federal government can not be trusted in this investigation, which, as we've noted earlier on this broadcast, there are community members who are seeing these videos go out there, then they hear what DHS is saying moments after it happened, and there is some distrust there. And the governor is saying, the federal government can't be trusted in this. Another point that's important is that Bob Jacobson, the public safety commissioner, told protesters to be peaceful, act peacefully, calls for calm. Start your
This is brand new video just coming into us of the shooting that happened this morning at 9:05 at the corner of 26th and Nicollet when this happened.
right, well, you can see that scene growing there. Kelly said she does not see any law enforcement in and around that area right now. And Bob Jacobson, the commissioner of the Department of Public Safety, did say just a short while ago that early on when we saw State Patrol out there, that there really just wasn't enough to hold the scene. There wasn't enough to hold the crime scene. And so they
had to pull everyone.
They had to pull it out. And it didn't, I had said that, it didn't look like there were actually very many out there. I don't know why. He didn't explain why. I don't know if they're short-staffed or maybe that's all they sent there.
Well, it was really kind of appeared from Bob's statement that in the way he was talking, yes, that too many people showed up. They didn't have enough to secure the scene for evidence, so they had to leave.
Right.
So, which is...
so it's unclear who actually collected the evidence or if it was collected.
Okay. Okay, so we finally have confirmed a name now of the victim, 37-year-old Minneapolis man.
And by the name, he's an ICU nurse by the name of Alex Pretti. ICU nurse Alex Pretti, apparently, I believe his parents have identified him as the victim in this case to the Associated Press, and the AP now reporting that. Again, he's an ICU nurse named Alex Pretti who was there on scene, and you can see him, in the video before the shooting. He's taking some video. He's kind of waving a car through there at the scene where agents are doing some sort of targeted operation, they say. He is on scene, and then this struggle ensues between agents and him and another woman.
And some of the critical facts that are emerging on this is Chief O'Hara confirmed that he is a concealed, he's a permit to carry owner here in the state of Minnesota, and apparently had with him a 9mm handgun that Department of Public Safety has put out on social media today. In fact, do we have the picture, Lori? Can we show our viewers that are joining us here a picture? Yes, please. Okay, they're going to pull that up here in just momentarily. But the Department of Homeland Security is saying that in addition to the gun, there were 2 magazines with that gun as well. The Department of Homeland Security's narrative is that he came to massacre federal agents. That's their words, not mine. Okay, so this is the weapon that they're showing here today. We do not know, and these are facts we don't know. We don't know if the gun was ever pulled, was it ever fired, did officers see this during the course of the struggle as they were taking down the streets? Those are really critical, important facts that no one knows yet.
Right, no one knows anything except what DHS says, and that is that he showed up and confronted the agents while armed with that.
All right, Madam Macho, peace out. We'll get some more later on. This is just a warm-up.